It's part of a deadly pattern. A Taliban attack on two aid organizations in Kabul and seemingly increased threats faced by so-called softer targets. Taliban attackers set off huge explosions last week at the offices of the NGOs CARE and Counterpart International. They battled security forces for more than 6 hours.
After the explosion, huge clouds of dust rose in the air and the debris was blown over to this area and the park. Then another blast happened and there were huge clouds of dust again.
The assailants didn't survive, but they killed 4 people and wounded dozens more. It could have been far worse. President Ashraf Ghani condemned the attack, calling it an unforgivable crime that violated Afghan and Islamic values. But a chilling message from a Taliban spokesman said this attack wouldn't be the last. That CARE International was targeted because it promotes Western culture, including its work on women's rights. About 2,000 NGOs operate in Afghanistan. They remain vulnerable and threatened. As the attacks on the NGOs were happening, the latest peace talks between the United States and the Taliban were drawing to a close in Qatar and without an agreement. The US negotiator, the Afghanistan-born Zalmay Khalilzad, tweeted they were getting into the nitty-gritty, and the devil is always in the details. But there was no mention of the increasing number of threats being made towards NGOs in Afghanistan. Prior to the talks, Khalilzad issued a warning.
If the Taliban insist on going back to the system they used to have, in my personal opinion, it means continuation of war, not peace.
There is clear frustration within the Afghan government, which says it's being excluded from the peace process. In March, its National Security Advisor, Hamdullah Mohib, accused the United States of acting like a viceroy. But the recent attacks on NGOs appears to be a clear signal about the state of this peace process. It's not only the Afghan government that says it's left out of the negotiations. Women's rights activists have warned they've been almost entirely excluded. They say it's putting hard-won freedoms in jeopardy. When the Taliban ruled Afghanistan before the US-led campaign toppled them in 2001, they barred women from education and most work. The government says that if there is a peace treaty with regards to women's rights, nothing will change.
The rights of women, I believe, is not a negotiable factor. It has to be there, it has to be preserved.
But it's now getting more and more dangerous to be a woman with a voice. A few days ago, Mena Mangal, a well-known TV presenter and political advisor, was shot dead in Kabul. The attack was in broad daylight and in a public place. Mangal was a strong advocate of women's rights. Days earlier, she shared fears in a Facebook post, saying she was being sent threatening messages, but declared a strong woman isn't afraid of death. The family of Mena Mangal also feels threatened. It's not clear whether the murder was a terror attack or carried out by someone she knew. But violence in Afghanistan is part of the pressure the Taliban is exerting on the United States to leave a country where its forces have been for nearly 2 decades. And even if peace talks succeed, the country still has a long way to go in preventing violence. Francis Collings, The Newsmakers.